This is Truist Park. The Atlanta Braves relocated here after spending fewer than 2 decades at their previous stadium, Turner Field. You heard that right. Spending less than 20 years in a relatively new ballpark is an incredibly short time to consider it a home, particularly by MLB standards. The Braves' move out of Turner Field wasn't due to the stadium's condition or its poor design. The ballpark's quality was perfectly fine. It was because of what surrounded it. More specifically, what didn't. Turner Field's short stint in Major League Baseball was all thanks to a classic case of promises made, promises broken. But how did the Braves find themselves in this position, where a ballpark all the way in the suburbs can offer far more than one base in the heart of Atlanta? While it may seem ironic, this is the reality faced not only by the Braves organization, but also by their fan base, and it's only the tip of the iceberg. Before getting into it, a big shout out goes to all of Mapify's patrons for supporting this channel. If you enjoy content on stadiums and sports geography, be sure to subscribe for more, and give this video a thumbs up if you end up liking it. Let's look at how Turner Field came to be built. Before Turner Field, Atlanta Fulton County Stadium served the Braves as the first stadium in the team's history. It housed the baseball team from the time the franchise arrived from Milwaukee in 1966 up until Turner Field was introduced in the 90s. As the facility reached its third decade of use, the city had transformed into a baseball mecca of the Deep South. This was largely due to TBS broadcasting Braves games on a national level, during a time when most other ball clubs aired their games regionally. This brought in a ton of attention towards the Braves, especially in the southern region of the United States, so much so that the franchise coined the nickname America's Team. By the time the 90s rolled around, Atlanta's sports landscape as a whole began to improve drastically. Between the NFL's Falcons moving into the brand new Georgia Dome in 1992, along with the Braves themselves becoming a National League powerhouse with back-to-back World Series appearances, Atlanta sports fans had plenty of things to be excited about. But the most significant news was the city being awarded the Centennial Summer Olympics of 1996. With a major event like the Olympics coming to Georgia's capital, a proper facility with modern accommodations was required in order to host the opening and closing ceremonies, as well as track and field events. Plans were made for an 85,000-seat arena to be built across the street from Fulton County Stadium, with the plan to later convert the facility into a ballpark for the Braves. The new ballpark would be named after TV mogul Ted Turner. Turner at the time was the team's owner and also the man responsible for broadcasting Braves games to a national audience. It was a fitting name given the context of the team. With the new facility, which dropped its capacity to 49,000 seats following the Olympics, the Braves joined an abundance of other teams that saw state-of-the-art ballparks constructed for Major League Baseball. This was all part of a stadium surge across the country. Each one of these arenas had their own unique design and incorporated fan-friendly features over time. One feature that's crucial yet often gets overlooked is Wi-Fi security. When fans come to watch the Braves at Truist Park, or any other stadium for that matter, many connect to what they assume is the ballpark's official free Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, with over 20,000 fans in the stadium, there's a chance that one random individual could be hosting a malicious network, making the personal information of those connected vulnerable. The same can be said for any free-to-use public Wi-Fi that you find in places like coffee shops or recreation centers, where cyber attacks can easily occur. You can avoid exposing yourself from these cyber attacks by using NordVPN, who are sponsoring today's video. With NordVPN, all your internet data would be completely safe behind a wall of next-generation encryption. It's never worth the risk to connect to an open Wi-Fi network without being connected to a VPN. Right now, when you use my link, you'll get a huge discount on a 2-year plan plus 4 additional free months. And as a bonus, Nord will give you a voucher for up to 20 gigabytes from Saley, a worldwide eSIM data service. That's an additional 20 gigs of cell data with this new promotion. Use it at the ballpark or have some additional data for streaming the game out in the backyard. To get started, go to nordvpn.com/mapify. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. You can find the link in the description below this video. NordVPN can also help you stream live sports during times when you're restricted based on your location. If there's a regional blackout in your area, which is something baseball fans regularly experience with specific services, simply use NordVPN to connect to any one of their thousands of servers around the world. Give yourself the opportunity to watch your home team even when you're nowhere near home. To take advantage of these features, be sure to visit nordvpn.com/mapify to get that huge discount, along with 4 additional free months when you sign up for a 2-year plan. Not to mention up to 20 gigabytes of cell data. To learn more, click the link in the description below. Now back to the video. In 2013, Turner Field was younger than nearly half the stadiums in the majors. However, that didn't stop Atlanta's mayor announcing that the Braves would relocate out of the city in which it's based in and into a brand new 42,000-seat stadium. This facility was set to cost over $650 million while being placed all the way in the suburbs of Cobb County, which was roughly 10 miles northwest from downtown. It was a polarizing move. especially considering how relatively new Turner Field was. But the motives behind the decision and the logistics for a new site each had their own sets of controversy. Ever since moving into the ballpark, the Braves complained that the downtown location of Turner Field restricted game attendance thanks to the heavy congestion into the city along with a shortage of on-site parking. Many fans were turned off from attending Braves games if it meant sitting through loads of traffic. And when it came to public transportation, the stadium was almost a mile from the nearest train station and suffered from the city's indifference towards investing into proper transit options besides the odd shuttle bus. So fans had the choice of either driving through hours of traffic with the hopes of finding a rare parking spot, or 30 minutes of walking through an unwalkable neighborhood with very little to do nearby. And on top of the lack of nearby infrastructure, the Braves claimed that the Summerhill neighborhood where Turner resided didn't align with the demographics of most of their fan base. The team was simply too isolated from its target market. What made matters worse was the fact that there wasn't any potential for development in the surrounding area. Businesses nearby were already scarce, and the Braves had no control over the commercial development around the stadium. If the surrounding land wasn't owned by the city, it belonged to just a few individuals. This position of not being able to offer a neighborhood atmosphere around the stadium sits in stark contrast to the many ballparks today that emphasize accommodations for its fans through collaborating with its respective municipalities. The Atlanta Fulton County Recreation Authority, which owned Turner Field and the many parking lots nearby, was notorious for not taking on these kind of projects. For years, the neighborhood symbolized a missed opportunity to rejuvenate a lifeless area, perfectly exemplified by storefronts that were spruced up to impress during major events, but then left neglected once the attention faded. It was all wasted potential. This neglect led to the baseball team suffering in the stands. From the turn of the millennium and onward, the Braves experienced a continual decline in attendance, even when the team was playing well. Despite numerous attempts to boost the attendance, the franchise saw limited success. Consequently, the Braves invested significant time and effort into exploring other ways to boost revenue. Despite some of these efforts being moderately successful, the Braves concluded that the most effective way to increase revenue was through the development of property around the stadium. Even working on Turner Field itself became a headache for the Braves. The ball club discussed renovations with the city of Atlanta that would see improved seating, lights, and plumbing, as well as investment towards features that enhanced the fan experience. It was estimated that Turner Field required $350 million from Atlanta to address these renovations, but the cost was too much for the city to support. This reluctance to invest in the Braves Stadium, along with its neighborhood, exacerbated the relationship between the team and the city, which made it awkward when it was time for both sides to discuss a new lease. If the relationship between these two parties weren't already at a low point, the last nail in the coffin came in 2013 when the city elected to pour billions of dollars into the brand new Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This state-of-the-art facility was intended to deliver a modern experience for not just NFL games, but for Major League Soccer matches as well, since the city leveraged the stadium to bring a professional soccer club to Georgia's capital. The gleaming new stadium, with its cutting-edge design and luxurious amenities, differed significantly to the neglected Turner Field. It sent a clear message to the Braves. The city's priorities lay elsewhere, despite the baseball team's storied history and loyal fanbase. Feeling abandoned, the Braves were compelled to seek a new home where they could find the support and investment they desired. The team zeroed in on a plot of land up the I-75 in Cobb County, specifically in the edge city of Cumberland. But despite the local politics, why leave a downtown area for a suburb? It's worth noting that Atlanta is much more than its downtown core. It's the epitome of suburban sprawl that you see in plenty of other North American cities. While the city itself houses approximately 500,000 residents, the entire metro area is home to over 6 million people. Atlanta's suburban landscape is dense, so conveniently, when the city challenged the Braves' intentions to leave Turner Field, the team had plenty of options that could better connect the franchise to the rest of the fanbase. Here's a heat map based on the Braves' ticket sales. So, to sum it up, what Fulton County couldn't deliver for the Braves, Cobb County could. Specifically the land and resources needed to build a new ballpark as well as its surrounding complex. This move, however, did have its fair share of controversy. Many residents were angry about the choice to spend $400 million of public funds without public input. Critics also argued that taxpayer money could have been better spent on other services or projects. Plus, just as a train station was not particularly close to Turner Field, it was even further away from the Cobb County location. A bus system did exist, but it wasn't vast enough to meet the demands that the new stadium asked for. The lack of public transportation also left out residents of downtown Atlanta, as well as lower-income communities. But whatever commuting issues might still exist, Truist Park has flourished. Not only has the team thrived, but so has the development around their home field. It's known as the Battery, which was designed to cater to stadium visitors, office tenants, and residents living nearby, all while offering entertainment and shopping. Proclaimed as the South's preeminent lifestyle destination, the Battery contains a hotel, apartments, shops, bars, and restaurants. Its success has made it a prototype for future Major League Stadium construction, exemplifying the ideal baseball experience that more and more teams are looking to adapt. This is the complete opposite of what fans had directly 20 miles away. There's an old notion that you should leave a place nicer than how you found it. Initially, there was a fear that this would not be the case for Turner Field. But even though it took some time, the Braves' departure turned out to be significant for the neighborhood of Summerhill. Today, the structure of Old Turner Field still stands, but it's now called Center Park Stadium. Since 2017, it's been the home of Georgia State University football. But whether or not the Panthers are playing, there's now plenty to do in the area. What was a ghost town shortly after the Braves left in 2016 is now thriving like never before. A small town in a big city, if you will. The Summerhill development was a project that included the establishment of more than 1,000 apartments situated in former Turner Field parking lots, as well as other underused land. This saw the rise of well-priced townhomes, restaurants, and other businesses, along with remodeled streets and open public spaces. The neighborhood's main road, Georgia Avenue, had completely transformed. With this development, 1,500 to 2,000 people are seen regularly walking the streets. Over the span of just a few years, Summerhill is now infused with new life. It might sound like PR chatter to refer to the Braves' move out of downtown as a win-win, but when looking at the results years later, it's hard to argue against it. Unlike the Texas Rangers and their short stint at the ballpark in Arlington, the dilemma the Braves faced with their stadium wasn't due to poor design. I already made a video on this predicament, so go give it a watch when you're done here. The real issue that was faced by the Braves was simply not being considered a priority to the city of Atlanta. Maybe the city saw the departure of the Braves as a wake-up call to finally shake the dust off of the old neighborhood. Regardless, it wasn't a match made in heaven, it was just a much-needed split. Did the Braves make the initial mistake of moving into Turner Field? What other teams need to move out of their current neighborhood? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And while you're here, be sure to visit Mapify's shop where you can find outfield wall t-shirts featuring your favorite baseball team. Head to mapify.com to get started. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe as it goes a long way. Thanks for watching.